1, 2, 3. Harold and Brad, Windy City Filmmakers. Harold and Brad, Windy City Filmmakers. Harold and Brad. Da, 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 da.
All right, cool. 3, 2, 1. What's going on, y'all? Brad Stevens here for another edition of the Harold and Brad Windy City Filmmakers podcast. Hey, Steve, what's going on, brother?
What's up, B? What's up? What's up? It's a beautiful time to be alive, brother. It's summertime in Chicago.
Right. We have a very special show and a very special guest. We have Emilio Bucks from the Plunked Podcast is with us. What's going on, man?
Oh, nothing much, gentlemen. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be asked to come and rock with you guys. Happy to be here.
So before we kick things off, tell all the party people a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your podcast.
Oh, sure. So I've been in, audio and video production for a long time. Everything from actually creating music, shooting video. Now I've been doing podcasts. We have Plunked. We have the Chicago Clubhouse Podcast. And I also have another podcast called Cracklejack. And Cracklejack is hosted by Mr. Emilio, and he features the best in all vinyl music. So I've just try to bring some entertainment and maybe a little knowledge and a smile to people's faces, especially over this last crazy year or so. And
oh man, I'm telling you. Are you from Chicago originally?
Oh, born and raised, gentlemen, South Side every day.
That's what's up. Great.
Where were you going to high school?
I went to St. Ignatius.
I went to Hurst.
Yeah. I went to Mendel Catholic back in the day.
Okay, right on. Good stuff.
Mendel was the first high school house music I went to. I went to Mendel.
The house parties. Yeah.
So we thought it would be great to talk about some of our favorite movies shot here in Chicago with a bunch of Chicago guys. And so we'll pass it to our guests first. What's one of your favorite movies shot here in Chicago, Emilio?
Oh man, I was trying to look for something that maybe wasn't as so obvious, but man, I still got to go back to Clyde High. Just hands down, for me personally, being a black kid from Chicago, growing up on the South Side, man, there's nothing like the imagery from Clyde High. Now, of course, the setting was before my time, but, I can remember older cousins and older aunts and even my mom, reminiscing the music that was in that film was still relevant in my household. So it was just great to see, man.
I really, really love Clyde High. That song, the Boys to Men sang at the end, It's So Hard to Say Goodbye. My parents took me to the theaters to see that back when I was a little kid. And I remember listening, the whole movie went by, and I just remember Preach standing by that bush, that beautiful green bush with that skyline behind, that sky behind him, and that song came on, and I felt overwhelmed because I knew it was a funeral. But I was like, it was so deep that it was one of those lasting impressions on film for me. And I still think about it. But when I watch it today, I always wait for that moment and see if I can draw up that feeling I had sitting in the theaters. And I did a few months ago. Yeah.
Right on, man. Yeah. The imagery along with the music just is so powerful, man, and even the reference of, pouring out a little liquor for the cats who ain't here, which was from that movie, and obviously we saw that in hip hop lore later on, but those cats are doing that. And you mentioned the funeral scene, just like that kind of up synth shot. I'm not a film guy like you guys, so excuse me if I say the wrong term.
You all good.
Just the shot of Preach standing over the casket, you know what I mean? Just giving that last speech, man. Man, the only thing I didn't like about Clyde High was the ending, man. It hurt that Cochise didn't make it out, but
when you have two protagonists, one gotta go.
But I love Clyde High so much, man. And like you were saying, it was before my time too. But the music, it takes me back, and it's I agree. When I look at Clyde High, I almost cringe sometimes because I don't want Coach Cheeks to die. But you know it's going to end the movie. You know it's going to happen. And like that end monologue is so beautiful. I would actually, I first started auditioning, I would audition with that monologue. It was just such a monologue, man.
That's very cool. Yeah, that's very cool. Another fun fact is a good friend of mine. She's a little bit older than me, but when she first met me, she's actually my older cousin's friend. When she first met me, she was like, "You look just like Pooter from Cooley High." Now, I must have been about 14 at the time. Shout out to Desiree, that's still my home girl. To this day, she still calls me Pooter when I see her. So.
Yeah. I think I just saw a video recently on YouTube or somewhere online with him as an older guy talking about those days with Cooley High. And when I was in high school, I was on the wrestling team and we had to go wrestle against Near North. And then that's when I found out that Near North was the former Cooley High. I was like, wow.
Okay. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah. I didn't know that either.
Back in the day. Yeah. Beautiful movie. Beautiful movie.
You know what turned out real quick? Like, I think one thing that's great, especially if you're Black of a certain age, that certain things become iconic. And like the reference points, like it was like the the Lauryn Hill song, "Killing Me Softly," and you could tell the part of that video was a tribute to Cooley High. And it was an episode of Martin where they would talk about something. He said, "No, Coach Cheeks," and it's like you know exactly what they were talking about. He was a certain age without him even having to say anything because the movie is so iconic,
And who could forget Brenda's big draws?
Yeah.
I was like, damn, that's what was on hit back then? I guess whatever, like.
Negro, what are you doing here?
Let me buy you dinner.
Okay, the Billy D thing is a little played out, but I will give you 10 cool points for nostalgia's sake.
I was gonna go with another one of my favorites, Love Jones, 1997, right?
Yeah.
And Theodore Wetcher, I haven't seen him I'm looking up on IMDb. He's done some things, but I haven't seen too much. But Love Jones to me was classic, like the film, just the overall film. And to me, one of the classic scenes was when they had just got finished stepping, and like Herb Kemp was in the background, and they would dance. They went down to the Buckingham Fountain, and they would kind of dance around the fountain before they got hugged up. And it was just a beautiful shot. That shot of Buckingham Fountain with Lorenz Tate and Nia Long. It's just one of my favorite films, period, but especially one of my favorite Chicago films.
Yeah, that is a good one, man. And as soon as you said that, I thought about Sweetest Thing, Lauryn Hill. And you know what I mean? Great soundtrack. Yeah.
No doubt.
Were there, besides Lorenz Tate, were there any other Chicago actors in that you could think of, Brad?
Well, there's one dude, I forgot his name. He went to DePaul. He graduated before I went there, DePaul Theater School. I think he was in the film. He had like a smaller part, I do believe. But I had to check it out. I'm trying to see. I think Leonard Roberts, I think his name is. Yeah, he went to the DePaul Theater School for a bit, yeah.
I just want to say that Love Jones is a Black classic film.
Yeah.
And it's filmed here in Chicago. And so it's Chicago's a big city with a lot of people that are acting and filmmaking. They have huge film schools here. They have DePaul, they have Columbia, the Art Institute, Institute of Art, and on and on. So you just never know how much filming is going on here. Then those students graduate, then they become filmmakers. And they're out around town. If they don't get wings and fly out east or west, they're here making films. So things are always happening here, and mentors and other people can pick up cameras. And so there are a lot of classics that are shot here. Maybe they're underground and people just don't know about them. But Love Jones is one of those old ones. And I'll go to my favorite, Soul Food.
Who is that hoochie coochie mama with her big butt all over my husband out there on the dance floor? This is my wedding day. I'm supposed to be happy.
Everybody's happy. But we'd be more happy if we go out there and beat that hoe down.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
South side, and just enough downtown.
Right.
Sure.
Yes. And one of the reasons why Soul Food is one of my favorite films is because my high school band teacher, John Watson Sr., the former John Watson Sr., he popped up in that movie. You know, he was a trombone player and a music band teacher. And when he popped up in that film, he had been in The Fugitive already with lines with Harrison Ford, which shocked me. Groundhog Day, Hoodlum. And then he ended up in Soul Food. That's what sealed the deal for me to become an actor. I was like, it's not impossible to do. Mr. Watson's in Hollywood films, and he's living right here in Chicago. How is he doing that? And so I started doing the research, and the next thing you know, I found myself on sets, all because I saw him in Soul Food seal the deal. He was Uncle Pete, the old guy that came out the room with the money.
Oh,
yeah.
Right. They used to just slide the dinner to him, and the door was shut. Right.
That was my high school band teacher, and he was a mentor to me and the other band students, you know.
Oh, right on.
During the summer seated jobs, playing our instruments at Chicago State and all of that stuff back in the day. And when I saw that, my heart just opened up. I was like, wow, I can do it too. And so 23 years later, I'm rolling, you know. That's how it's
awesome, man.
Soul Food, yeah. And then I had the chance to meet the filmmakers, you know, and so, you know, we interviewed Bob Title, the producer of the film, right here on our podcast a few months ago.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, and it's beautiful. George Tillman, I met him, you know, and I had to tell Bob about Mr. Watson, and I had to tell him that he had passed away, and he was. I felt him a little hurt, you know, caught off guard with that.
Sure.
I know we're at this film festival, but I thought I should let you know. And he's the reason why I'm acting today. Yeah, Soul Food.
Right on, man. You know, it's interesting. You kind of mentioned about like how seeing him do it inspired you to feel like, I can do it too. And I've always kind of thought about like the landscape of Chicago. Sometimes it's almost like it's hard to dream here because it's so flat. And, you know, and if you grow up, you know, and maybe not the best area, like you can't see beyond your own block. You can't, if you guys, I'm sure, have been to LA, and no matter where you are in LA, you can look up and see mountains and all of that. And just the way that affects you just to kind of dream. And even New York, you know what I mean? I just always kind of felt like, man, I used to work with some kids many years ago, and, you know, these were 13, 14-year-old kids, and they had never even been downtown Chicago before. You know, and they lived in Inglewood, which is like not that far from downtown, but it just reminded me like, man, it could be hard to dream for a kid that's got a lot of BS blocking him, man. So like, you know, I'm not sure, Harold, where your background, where you're from and all that, but just it helps when you see guys from the crib do it like that and say, oh, I could do this too. Like, you know, shout out to Jason Weaver, who's back here doing The Shy. You know what I mean? Like, man, it's like our artists, you know, actors, musicians, they mean a lot to us. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you feel like we're overlooked between New York and LA. You know what I mean? It's like Chicago, we holding it down too. I mean, and black music recording started here in Chicago.
No doubt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the trip you said that, man. Because like I was teaching like improv years ago at Washington High School, right? And we did a field trip downtown to improv shop. And not saying downtown is better than anything else, but to your point, some of them hadn't been downtown. And it's so tripped out that it's just like a train ride away. But that train ride can be like, might as well be, for some people, might as well be like on the other side of the world, you know?
Yep.
And when it was tripped out, and it's just about the idea of how having different experiences. And we would talk about this with a couple of people, other people on the show, about when you see somebody who looks like you do something, that it just hits a certain way that it's possible, it can be done. And then the more specific that becomes, not only that they're black, but they're black and they're from the same city you're from, right? And they grew up in the same side of town. It's like, yeah, it seems to get even more and more real that it's possible and not just a pipe dream out there that, you know, can't be touched, which is dope.
So tell us about your music and what's going on with that.
Myself, well, actually, I sort of took a hiatus from just making records in a way, where now I'm just working on video shorts, the podcast. You know, I supply a lot of the music, background music for that. You know, I use other, you know, hip hop tracks sometime as well, but a lot of stuff I use my own stuff. And so I've just been into creating music to fit some of the scenes that I'm shooting, which is a totally different way of creating music for me, you know? And so like, I'm just a creator, you know what I mean? So I'm always gonna be making music and I'm always gonna be trying to create something new. And so I'm really just doing music like for my shorts right now and for the podcast right now. So, but overall, like, you know, I've lived in LA. I went to audio engineering school. Shout out to everybody from Lars, Los Angeles recording school in Hollywood. I graduated from there back in, it was like 2001. And I lived out there. I worked in recording studios. I first broke in actually kind of on a gospel scene. Like I got a chance to work with God's Property and Yolanda Adams and a lot of gospel artists, and then just broke off as an engineer and did some cool stuff with, you know, some known people, some unknown people. You know, I don't get into like, well, here's who I worked with and I worked with this, you know,
right.
You know, like, but yeah, you know, I was definitely on the professional scene, mainly as a recording engineer, which is like, it's always been my bread and butter is tech, you know what I mean? And, you know, whether using it in video or music or whatever, it's just signal flow. I've been into that ever since I was like a baby. Like my parents have stories about me loving record players and records and wires and stuff. So, you know, and I DJ as well. You know, I mean, of course, who doesn't DJ today, right? But I was DJing back in the day in the 90s and I still, you know, get some of that in as well. But yeah, man, so just always experimenting, taking bass lessons right now. So always just trying to perfect and, you know, never get comfortable and feel like, oh man, I'm good. I'm dope. Just like, you know, you can be proud of your work, but always like love to want to get better and love to like say, oh, I can't do that. I'm not good at that. So that's exactly what I want to try to do. And, you know, it's just about loving, like as an artist, you have to love the grind. You got to love going on auditions. You got to love doing readings and stuff like that. You can't just be doing it because, oh, I want to be a star, because that may happen, that may not, but all along the way, you got to love the whole process. You know what I mean? You know, reading lines with your guy, just everything, man. And just loving every process, you know?
Absolutely.
Yo, man, yeah. Like I'm looking at your studio, man, and let's look at it. It looks dope. I like your setup, man. It looks dope.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
you know what I really like? I like all the White Sox gear in the back, man.
So it doubles. It's a recording studio. It's my podcast studio. You know, I you know, it's my man cave. You know. End up sleeping in here sometimes. It's just you know, my little sanctuary. You know what I mean? You know,
so you can do voiceover recordings and have artists come in there and record and things like that. You do that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've done stuff like that before. I produced an audio book. Actually, last year, a couple of good friends of mine wrote a book.
You're definitely a creator. You just said it. Yeah.
The book is called Souls for Sale. Really great read, easy read. It's just about how the drug and the crack epidemic took hold of Chicago and how it tied in kind of with the sneaker culture, like which kind of originated from here. Like, you remember back in the 80s, you could get robbed for starter coats and sneakers, and that's because
all stars.
yeah, you know what I mean. So it's a cool book, and I produced the audio version of that. So yeah, man, I do a little bit of everything when it comes to recording.
That's what's up, man. We're gonna plug it. So Souls for Sale. Where can we pick it up? Is it like
Souls for Sale? You can pick it up online, and I got to get that information from you. These are my partners. I didn't have it on hand. I didn't have the book, but I'll definitely hit you guys off with that info.
This is an emergency. This is an emergency.
Homicides in Chicago, Illinois have surpassed the death toll of American Special Forces in Iraq.
Hey, Ptolemies.
Welcome to Chirac.
I want to talk about one more movie, and it may be controversial, but at the time, I really liked Spike Lee's Chirac, man. I enjoyed the movie. Some people, they just say, well, yeah, this and that and this and that. But I appreciate the art because, like you said, you're creative. That was a piece of art that he created, and the performances. I mean, Cusack's performance as Father Flager was phenomenal. He just sat there in that chair and just gave that monologue. I was like, oh my God, that was like the best performance I'd ever seen him do. And that was shot right here in Chicago. Shout out to Spike Lee for coming to the Chi, making
Absolutely.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty good. I really enjoyed Chirac too. But real quick. Yeah,
definitely controversial, but it had its moments for me. Yeah,
right.
I mean, it's a real artist piece,
no doubt.
So and what you can always appreciate about it, whether you liked it or not, you appreciate that you could tell he put everything into it. He did Spike Lee, which he put everything into it. It was his art, and he's not afraid to put it out there. He's not afraid to say, oh, you don't like it? Okay, that's cool. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that's the attitude you always have to have as a creator. Like, like really first and foremost, you got to create for yourself. And then, people don't understand how hard it can be to it's like sharing a piece of yourself with them. Like, putting out your own film or writing a script and letting somebody read it, or producing a record and putting, it's not as easy as people think it is. Like, it's especially for like somebody who's really into it on an artistic level. It's sharing a piece of yourself with the world, and you got to have a tough skin because sometimes people aren't going to like that piece of yourself that you share, because everybody's got an opinion, but I enjoyed, I always like everything, just putting Chicago on the map. I actually rented, there was like a music scene in there where I actually rented the audio equipment out to the film for that.
Right on.
Right. I used to work in Guitar Center, and just randomly a PA came in.
One shout out to Harry Lennox too, Chicago actor. He was in that film.
Sure.
And I loved being able to watch the film and say, oh, wow, I know him, I know her, I know him. And it was beautiful.
Isn't that great?
Beautiful. Yeah, and shout out to Guitar Center. You probably know Fernando Jones, Chicago Blues Band, coming through the Guitar Center all the time.
I don't. I'm not sure. He probably goes to the good store up on the north side, which is so the way Guitar Center works, you have A stores, B stores, and C stores, which obviously the A is always stocked. When any artist that's kind of famous in the city, that's where they go, because that's where they get their deals. You know what I mean? I worked at a C store, but hey, we still rented for Chirac, so it was all right.
Hey, you know what? Before we get out of here, we also go to touch on, one of our favorite sports films. Shot in Chicago, not shot anywhere. One of your favorite sports films, Emilio?
Harry Doyle here, welcoming all of you to another season of Indians baseball.
Here's a list of the players we'll be inviting to camp.
This guy here is dead.
Cross him off then.
Yeah,
Major League. Hands down.
Oh, no doubt. That's classic.
Major League, all day. Like, I know it almost word for word, the lines. Oh, yeah. Yeah, most people have like this, the natural and Field of Dreams. I'm like, no, Major League, brother.
I second that.
You know what? One of my favorite, and it's kind of campy now, but The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh. It came out, I was a shorty when it came out. And it had like Dr. alone. But then the soundtrack, and then they were basically in the Lakers. They didn't come to the Lakers. And Kareem, and that Norm Nixon. I think Magic was in it. But that was just like a classic film to me. I was so geeked to see that as a kid.
Definitely, man. Definitely.
Right.
You know, the fact that we're still talking about it, let you know, it's classic.
Yeah, my sister went to go see that when she was a kid, and she came back and told us the whole film. I was like, wow. It was like we can see it. Fish That Saved Pittsburgh. Yeah, it was crazy.
Wow, awesome.
Nice. Cool. So what things do you have coming up? You know, I saw your video. I loved it, Emilio, when you were tasting the Yerminator burger.
Yeah. So I got a couple of more of those on deck. I find like different places around ballparks. I got a new one coming up. It's called the Morgan Street Market.
Nice.
It's right around Sox Park. So I got another one that I'm editing right now. It's coming up, and I got a couple that I'm gonna do up in Wrigleyville. So yeah, I people were showing a lot of love on the food. on the food reviews. So I was like, word, okay, well, you know, I like to eat. So, I mean, I love to talk, so I can talk about what I'm eating. So, yeah, man, thank you.
It was dope. I love when you were in the car, you were eating it, and you were breaking down. It was like a wine connoisseur. You break it down.
Hey, man, anybody who knows me knows I love a good burger and I love a good burrito. And the next installment of Stadium Eats will be, it's a massive burrito that I undertook. So stay tuned for that.
I love it. You know what? Harold and I are going to a Sox game next, the 28th. We're going. So where were you when the last time the Sox won the World Series, and where do you plan to be when they win the World Series this year?
I was in a bar in Westwood, California.
Okay.
So 2005, I was still living in LA at the time. And I went with a friend of mine to watch Game 4 in this bar. I forget the name of the bar in Westwood. And you know, like if it was the Cubs, and I'm sure, like, you know, there's Cubs fans just everywhere in droves everywhere. Sox fans, not so much. I'm hardcore. So I'm born and raised Sox. Like I'm not like into baseball because it's popular to be at Wrigley. Like I'm like 35th Street, Comiskey Park. You know what I mean? I'm old school. You know what I mean? Harold Baines, Ron Kittle. You know what I mean?
No doubt.
And so I was there, and I remember sitting kind of like at a high boy table. And I remember, JD, when he finally scored, he drove in that run. And I remember jumping up and cheering, fist bumping. And then I remember that last big Bobby Jenks on the mound. Man, and I jumped out of my seat, and it was like I don't remember. It must have been like a Wednesday night. It was during the week, I remember. And I remember just jumping up like I had won. You know what I mean? And I'm like the only person in the bar who's like really even excited about the Sox winning the World Series, but I didn't care. Care. Like I waited my life to see the Sox win that World Series. My brother and I, we are Sox fans because of our father. He just transitioned last December. So, you know, we always like when we think about the Sox, that's our dad. And I really hope that they win it this year just because, and it would feel so good just as even just like a little tribute to my old man, you know, like, man, they got another one, Pop, you know, just Yeah, man. So my love for the Sox goes very personal and deep, as you can see.
Let me tell you my quick Sox story. My father, he used to lay on the couch and watch the Cubs and Sox baseball. I'd sit there and watch him watch the game. And so I played a little league, and Pony League, and pitched and played everything. I just didn't want to get down there behind the plate, But beyond that, my father took me to I remember going to a Sox game, and he bought a ball and signed it and says, okay, pretend like you caught this. I was like, okay. And so years later, I took my son to a Sox game. And for the seventh inning, we had tickets behind the plate too, because I won them from work or something, with him and a couple of my acting buddies, and fraternity acting. And he went to the bathroom, and it was the seventh inning stretch. And so when he came back, I says, you missed the seventh inning stretch. And he says, well, I didn't know. And so later on, I went to the bathroom, and then there was a foul ball coming, right? And I was like, it's coming, as I was walking back to the seats. And it went just past me. I said, that would have been nice to get from your son. And so when I got to my seat, my son was like, look, Daddy, look what I got. He got a foul ball while I was gone.
You talking about, oh, son, you missed the seventh inning stretch. He's like, Dad, you missed the foul ball. Like,
Maglio Donis foul ball. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Yeah. Man, okay. Old Mags, for sure.
Yeah. Sox
man, you know what? I was with my friend, our mutual friend Marcus Watson. We were acting when the Sox won in 2005. We were in a bar in Wrigleyville, right? I forgot what bar it was. We were in a bar in Wrigleyville, and so I thought they would be like booing, whatever. And there were actually people were celebrating. I mean, it wasn't as crazy as when the Cubs would win, of course.
Sure.
But it caught me off guard. There were people actually celebrating, and we were like in Wrigleyville. Man, it's just something when your team, and I say your team like I'm playing, right?
Of course, but when it's really your squad you follow, like it's emotional. Right. But
yeah, when they win, we win. When they lose, we win.
That's what it feels like.
And I can relate, like when the Bulls won their third in the row. I was down. I went to Florida A&M University. I was down in Tallahassee, Florida, right? What's so tripped out? We were all hyped up. Me and my Chicago friends. The local sports in Tallahassee led off with Florida State in the World Series, right? That was the lead story. Because they got no Chicago Allegiance. And then right. By the way, the Bulls won the third championship in a row. But we were so hyped up. And when we were finally able to come back and celebrate, the second three-peat being home, man, it was just it was a different experience altogether, no doubt.
Yeah, in the South, college and even high school sports is bigger than pro. Really, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Small town. Yep, I've seen it.
But to finish your question, where do I plan to be this year? Hopefully at the game, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm just putting it out there. Yeah.
Well, tell you what, we're just about out of time, Emilio. It's been a blast having you on the show. What do you have? What do you have coming up?
We're taking this weekend off from Plunked, just to kind of recoup and relax. It's Father's Day. My daughter's birthday is Sunday as well, so I really don't get Father's Day. But it's just we're taking the day off, and then we'll come back the week after with a new episode, a new installment of Stadium Eats as well. Come football season, we'll be launching a new podcast to be named at a later time. The Lord willing, baseball will extend well into football season. Yeah. Get that October, early November baseball. But we'll be in full swing of football. So we got the football podcast coming up. I got a new installment of Crackle Jack that'll be coming out very soon. So just be looking out for that. That's just good music, and I do different things with the music. And that's really just about it, man. And just continuing to try to inspire others, especially other artists, and just enjoy the grind.
Now, I love you on the move. Hey, you know what? Happy Father's Day to both of y'all. Happy Father's Day.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. I'm a happy grandfather now too, so it's all good.
Right on. And you look like Barry Sanders. Anybody ever tell you that?
No. I've heard all types of people.
You remind me of Barry Sanders. I'm like, Barry Sanders.
I've even heard Robert De Niro one time. I was like,
oh, wow, okay. All right. Bobby D. Yeah, hey. He does like black women. So, I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
Hey.
It's a trip.
I'm sorry. I'm silly.
Oh, you said y'all good. That's dope. Well, I tell you what, it's been a blast. So for Brad Stevens and
Harold Dennis,
as always, dream big, dare to be great, and we'll talk to you. Peace.
Peace.
Ooh la la. Yeah.